Why are there so many women against doing paternity tests when the baby is born? I just made a video about the Laura Owen situation, a woman who accused the Bachelor Clayton Eckert of being the father of her child, being indicted for paternity fraud because essentially she said that she was pregnant by him. She wasn't actually pregnant at all. So the judge actually decided to report her, and now there is a criminal case open against her for the paternity fraud. In my comment section, there are women talking about how women are entitled to bodily autonomy and that they also have to look out for the bodily autonomy of the child. To do a DNA test, you don't actually need the DNA of the mother. Does it help the test go smoother? Yes, but having the mother's DNA is definitely not required. I get that it might be embarrassing or kind of rude, but shouldn't the father be able to know that the child is his just like the mother knows that the child is hers because it came out of her? It seems like we should know who the father of our children are, and it shouldn't be offensive for someone to ask for a DNA test.
Filthy, filthy.
What are you on about?
You have trapped my Sean into having your baby, but not his, because I have got proof here that you have been a scheming little...
No, I haven't.
Yes, you
Sean.
have. No, you do not. How can you look at me and tell me lies to my face?
I'm not lying.
You're an absolute liar.
I'm not lying.
Yes, you are a liar.
What's with that?
So this is when I had the baby last week and last night. Seem to have him every bloody night, don't I? While you're off gallivanting. So I looked after him, I cleaned his teeth, and then I sent it off for DNA testing.
Do you know how creepy that is? Oh, without my consent.
I don't give a shit.
So creepy.
Oh, but you'll consent for me to look after him, will you, all night while you're out about?
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
No,
anyway, this came back from the DNA testers, and this says that you are the mother, and is Sean the father? Is he? No, he isn't. Some dirty, skanky been out and somebody else, and then you come back and try to nail my son. Well, he's not falling for it. You can...
I know you've never liked me, but it's going as far as making a fake
You
letter
are
about
damn right
that.
I've never liked you. Could just look at you. You can barefaced lie to anybody.
When they did a data collection of all of the paternity test centers in America, they found that 32% of fathers who got a paternity test were indeed not the father of their children. Now, you got to take this with a grain of salt because these were the men who already had suspicions, but y'all not hearing me. This problem is so bad in Jamaica, it's about 70%. When the men's rights activists in Jamaica wanted to make it so that paternity tests were mandatory at birth, they said that they wouldn't allow it because it would cause too much femicide, meaning too many men would find out that their children are not actually their children and they would end up harming the women. They thought it was so bad that they shouldn't even make it a thing. In France, this problem is so bad that you're not even allowed to get a paternity test unless it's ordered by a judge. They said, and I quote, that it would destroy and destabilize communities if they had mandatory paternity tests at birth. We literally have access to the alien technology that allows us to make sure that every father is actually providing for children that is biologically theirs, and our states and governments are going, nah. Because that would mean women would have to be accountable for the decisions that they make. And if you have this conversation with some women, they will really act offended. All I'm going to say is I've never seen somebody wearing real diamonds afraid of a diamond test.
A few years ago, my oldest daughter had to take a DNA test for school just to figure out ancestry. During the DNA test, she came to me very, very sad because apparently me and her were not related.
Damn.
I was like, huh?
Who's the principal of the school? Is it Jerry Springer? Who came up with that field trip? Is that even legal? I wonder how many families they've ruined over the years with that field trip. Hey, everybody, let's take a trip to the paternity test center. That should be fun. Everybody get your parents to sign this slip.
She told me this. I had to keep a straight face because the immediate shock was just wild.
Yeah.
Then I decided to go with her to get a paternity test done. When we got the paternity test done, it was also concluded that I was not her father. At this point, I was shocked. I've had 4 kids with my wife, and she was the oldest, and I needed to see how far this rabbit hole went. I told her to not let her mother know that we know this information, and then I went to my next oldest child. Not mine. I went to the one below that. not mine.
Oh,
and then
man.
I decided to stop there because the youngest child is so young that this may directly affect them, and they don't really understand what's going on anyway. So I didn't even want to go into that rabbit hole. But when I got the information,
and it's crazy because there are so many people that talk about men not being able to control their emotions. I actually think that there are very few men that can't control their emotions, and there are very few men that are actually violent. Less than 1% of the population of men are actually violent criminals. So I just think that it's interesting because this guy has the patience of a hospital. I don't understand how he isn't just dangling his legs off of a cliff right now. That's the type of shit to make you not be able to do another Monday. Everybody go to God Express Shipping.
I immediately was like, let me go talk to my wife about this. So, like always, she didn't take responsibility or any type of accountability, and she said, how are you going to believe your wife over these tests? I was like, are you serious? Are you like, for real, for real? Like, is this really where you're going to go with this? Then
that would make it worse. I'm surprised this man isn't wearing her skin. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying under the circumstances, I would understand it.
Starts crying profusely and saying it was only one time. I didn't mean to do it. And I was like, it was only one time.
3 different kids.
Hey. And then I showed her that each one of the children aren't mine, with the exception of the youngest, as so I think. That's when it dawned on me that it was one time, multiple times, and then when we looked, each one of the children had different baby fathers, and somehow that made it even worse, because it wasn't just one person you was cheating on me with. This is a habitual thing with multiple different people that you probably don't know about, and I'm taking care of their kids. They're my kids. They're my kids. I've raised each and every one of them from a super young age, and they stood by me through this whole situation. But to think that she's not who she says she was, because up into that situation, I thought we had a great marriage. I thought we had a great life. I thought everything was going good. I thought that we were building together and already have built together. She is a stay-at-home mom that works on things that she wants to do. She takes care of the kids. She cooks. She cleans. She does everything that's needed inside.
By the way, guys, this guy is a content creator. He's actually super popular, but for some reason, I can't figure out his name. So if you guys know his name, if you recognize his face, let me know in the comments below.
About the relationship with me, yet she didn't tell me that she wanted to go outside of the marriage. She didn't tell me that she wanted to do anything. Anyway, after finding out the information and getting her side of the story, I let her know I would need a couple of space. So I had rented a hotel for a couple of days, and I stayed in it. I stayed away, and it was all right. It was good, but I really missed my kids, and I wanted to see them.
Yeah.
So after a couple of days, I was back inside of the house, but I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't say anything to my wife. I didn't speak to her. She would try to talk to me and I would look away. I would take care of the kids. I would grab the kids, take them to the mall, do different things with them.
And that's the best thing you can do. If you're ever in a situation where as a guy, you can't control what you may say or do to your woman, always wait until you have a clarity of mind. Always wait until you can express yourself in a way that isn't too aggressive, because the moment you become aggressive, everything is going to become about you being aggressive and not the actual points that you're trying to make. So anytime you need some space, take as much space as you need. Be quiet. Don't say anything until you have everything calm, cool, and collected, because if you're right, but you have to express it in a certain way. And if you become too aggressive, the whole thing is going to become about you being aggressive instead of the actual point. Now, this is a little bit of an extreme example, and if he were to just go insane, I would understand it. But I'm just talking about through everyday life. Anytime you have a disagreement or your woman do something that you don't appreciate, or if you feel like you was disrespected and you can't express it in that moment, or you might be too angry, give it some time. Wait. I don't care if it takes an hour. I don't care if it takes a day. I don't care if it takes a week. Until you can express what you want to say clearly and precisely, just wait until you could do that. Don't express it if you feel like you're going to have to be too angry or explosive.
And everything was just, I was just trying to figure things out. I was just trying to see how I could make our relationship work, or see if I need to separate and just take the kids myself. Like, I didn't know what to do, if I had any like legal rights to these individuals. Yeah, my name's on the birth certificate, but I'm not biologically theirs. I just wanted to figure things out, but I didn't even get that chance.
That's
because
crazy.
6 days ago, she decided, other than taking any type of responsibility, to have a hangout session with the chandelier. And
oh my goodness,
I'm so happy I have my kids, because I just don't know what I would like. It's just baffling to me.
Right.
Because the whole time, even with evidence, she just kept denying and denying and denying and denying. And I don't know if I did something wrong. I don't know if I was never supposed to know in the first place. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want to not have my kids not to have their mother.
I'm not going to lie, whether he chooses to take care of the kids or not, I 100% understand. And this stuff happens all the time. I got a buddy when we were 15 years old. He got his girlfriend pregnant. And when I tell you this man stepped up to the plate, this man stepped up to the plate. Every day he would wake up, go to school at 8 a.m., after school at 3:30 a.m. or p.m., he would ride his bike to work. He would go to work from 3:30 p.m. till about 10 p.m. at night. He would bike all the way back across town. And this is in Minnesota, so some days it was cold. Imagine biking and it's 5 degrees outside. Imagine biking and it's negative degrees outside. There are less than 0 degrees. There is no degrees. I don't even know how that's possible. But this man would have to bike in that weather all the way back across town, do his homework, help take care of the baby, go to sleep, and start the whole day over again. And I'm telling you, this man did this for like 7 months straight. And then there were rumors circulating that he might not be the dad because the girl and him went to 2 different schools. And because of the rumors, his mom decided to actually go take the DNA test for him, and it came back conclusive that she wasn't related to the baby. He didn't even want to go take the test because he didn't want to believe it. So it took his mom to be the brave one to go, I'm not going to let my son be taken advantage of, and she went and took the test for him, and it turned out, she had no relation to the kid, so then eventually he had to go take the test, and he found out that he had no relation to the kid. And when I tell you this man was absolutely devastated because he had become attached to this baby, he was absolutely devastated. Not only was he dealing with this paternity situation, but the girl that he got pregnant was living with him and his mom, and she was abusive. Like, she would try to hit him. She would throw stuff at him all the time, and he was just putting up with it. And it just goes to show that so many of these behaviors are followed by other signs, and you have to be willing to watch for these signs. And if you have any doubts about paternity for your kid, you're not a bad man for wanting certainty. And in fact, I think sometimes it can help when you have a certain level of certainty if you're uncertain, because that level of certainty can help you become a better parent. And you deserve that certainty as a father, especially because we have the technology for it. So, yeah, it was just interesting. And from that time, my friend has lifelong illnesses that he'll have to deal with because of the stress of all of that situation. And this woman just gets to sail off into the sunset. People will say, why don't you sue for paternity fraud? It's almost never held up because the moms usually don't even know who the dad actually is. And they're the primary caregiver to the kid. So they don't want to throw the mom in jail or have her with financial bills, because usually single mothers are the poorest demographic in America already. So you're suing them for what? Money? They're not going to ever pay you, and they don't have the money for it. And if they go to jail now, the kid doesn't have a parent anymore, because oftentimes these women don't know who the parent is. And I just think it's insane that these women get away with doing this type of stuff scot-free. And I think that we should be able to have paternity tests at birth. I just think that should be a thing. I think that if we have the technology to ensure that every man is taking care of the children that are biologically theirs, I think that the least the government can do for men who are willing to go fight in wars and who are required to die through selective service and potentially the draft, I think that's the least they could do for men. Till next time.